You ever notice how some people never seem stressed about money in the same way everyone else is? They're not flashy. They're not loud about it. They don't look richer than you, but somehow they're calmer. Bills don't shake them. Market headlines don't ruin their mood. They don't panic every time payday feels too far away. And the strange part is, many of them aren't working harder than you. They're not smarter than you. They didn't discover a secret loophole hidden from regular people. That money doesn't only come from effort. It can also come from ownership. Most of us grow up believing the same rule. You work, then you get paid. No work, no money. That belief feels obvious, safe, responsible. But it's also incomplete. Because while you're trading hours for income, there's another system running quietly in the background. A system where people get paid not for doing more, but for owning a piece of something that already works. And if you've ever wondered why it feels like you're always trying to catch up financially, this is where the gap usually begins. Not with income, not with discipline, but with how money is allowed to flow to you. Most people don't realize they're standing on the wrong side of that flow. Let's talk about what everyday money life actually feels like. You earn, you pay bills, you try to save what's left, and somehow there's never much left. Even when your income increases, the pressure doesn't disappear. It just changes shape. You might think, once I earn more, I'll finally feel relaxed. But then rent goes up, responsibilities increase, expectations quietly follow. So you keep moving, checking your bank balance more often than you'd like, doing mental math in grocery aisles, telling yourself you'll start investing when things settle down, but they never really do. And when you hear someone talk about earning money without working extra hours, your first reaction isn't excitement, it's suspicion. That sounds unrealistic, or risky, or like something only lucky people pull off. So you dismiss it. You tell yourself, that's not for people like me. And you go back to doing what feels responsible, working harder, budgeting tighter, trying not to think too far ahead. What's exhausting isn't the lack of effort. It's the feeling that effort never creates breathing room. Here's what's really going on beneath the surface. Most people are taught to think of money as something that must be earned repeatedly. Like water you have to keep carrying by hand. You stop walking, the water stops moving. So your brain links money to effort, time, and energy. That's not wrong. It's just incomplete. Because money can also behave like a seed. You don't pull on a plant to make it grow faster. You place it somewhere stable, give it time, and let the system do the work. But that idea clashes with how we're wired emotionally. Effort feels safe. Ownership feels abstract. Your brain trusts what it can see, work gives paycheck. It struggles to trust what feels invisible. Ownership gives income. So when someone mentions being paid just for owning something, your mind looks for the trick. What's the catch? What could go wrong? Why isn't everyone doing this? And because those questions feel uncomfortable, most people never slow down long enough to answer them. Instead, they stay inside the familiar loop. Work harder. Save a little. Hope nothing goes wrong. What people think is happening. Those people found a shortcut. What's actually happening? They stepped into a different flow of money. One where income doesn't depend entirely on daily effort. One where money has momentum. Here's the quiet cost of never learning this. When all your income depends on your time, your life becomes fragile in ways you don't notice at first. A missed paycheck creates stress. A health issue creates panic. A slowdown creates fear. Not because you're irresponsible, but because there's no cushion that works without you pushing it. Time passes whether you want it to or not. And every year spent relying only on effort is a year where money never gets the chance to learn how to work on its own. The cost isn't immediate pain. It's delayed dependence. Years later, many people look back and realize they were always busy, but rarely building. And the hardest part isn't the money itself. It's the feeling that you were doing everything right, yet still standing still. The shift doesn't start with doing more. It starts with a single question. What if money didn't have to come only from effort? Not tomorrow, not magically, just gradually. What if ownership could quietly support you while you focused on living? This is where dividends enter the picture, not as a trick, not as fast money, but as a different relationship with income. Dividends are simply a way money says, "Thank you for believing in me long enough to stay." They represent ownership paying you back slowly, consistently, without asking for your daily energy. And once you see that, it's hard to unsee. Okay, so what do I actually do? Not in a dramatic way, not with a huge decision, just in a way that doesn't break your life or your nerves. This is where many people freeze. They think the moment they act, everything must be perfect. It doesn't. Think of this less like a leap and more like adjusting the direction of a slow-moving ship. Here's a simple framework. No rush, no pressure. Step 1. Separate effort money from ownership money. Most people treat all money the same. That's the first mental trap. Effort money is what you earn by working. Ownership money is what you earn by letting money sit somewhere useful. At first, ownership money will be small, almost boring. That's fine. The goal isn't to replace your income tomorrow. You stop seeing money as a one-way street. Step 2. Focus on consistency, not size. People love asking, how much do I need to start? The honest answer is, less than you think, more than zero. What matters isn't the amount, it's the habit. Ownership income grows through repetition, not intensity. Small, regular decisions beat big emotional ones. This step matters because it removes pressure. Pressure kills consistency. Step 3. Let time do the heavy lifting. Dividends reward patience more than intelligence. They don't care if you're confident. They don't care if you're excited. They care if you stay. Not skill, not timing. Time. Step 4. Reinvest before you rely. Early dividends aren't meant to change your lifestyle. They're meant to change your future options. More ownership means more future income. Step 5. Keep it boring on purpose. If something feels dramatic, it's usually not sustainable. This step matters because boredom is a sign of stability. Let's ground this in real people, not extreme cases, just normal lives. The steady builder. This person earns an average income. Nothing impressive, nothing embarrassing. They decide to set aside a small portion consistently, not because it feels exciting, but because it feels doable. At first, the dividends are barely noticeable. They could cover a meal, maybe a bill. Instead of spending it, they reinvest. Months pass, then years. Something subtle happens. They stop checking balances daily. They stop panicking at small expenses, not because they're rich, but because something is quietly growing without them touching it. The money feels calmer. The late starter. This person waited longer. Life happened. They assumed it was too late to begin, so they didn't rush. They didn't try to catch up. They focused on consistency instead of regret. The dividends don't replace income quickly, but they reduce pressure. Over time, the fear of what if something goes wrong softens. They're not chasing freedom. They're building stability. And stability changes how decisions feel. Common mistakes and misconceptions. Mistake 1. Expecting excitement. Dividends aren't supposed to feel thrilling. Calm systems don't scream for attention. Mistake 2. Chasing the biggest payout. Bigger isn't always better. When income looks unusually high, it often carries hidden stress. Sustainable ownership grows slowly and survives boring years. Mistake 3. Stopping too early. Most people quit right before momentum shows up. They decide it isn't working because results aren't dramatic. But ownership income works on a delay. The early phase is quiet by design. Mistake 4. Treating dividends like spending money immediately. Spending early dividends feels rewarding, but it delays growth. Reinvestment isn't about sacrifice. It's about sequencing. You're choosing later ease over early comfort. Mistake 5. Believing you must understand everything first. You don't. Understanding grows with experience. Your relationship with money changes. You stop seeing money as something that disappears the moment it arrives. You start seeing it as something that can stay. That shift reduces anxiety more than any budgeting trick ever could. Because fear isn't about numbers. It's about fragility. Ownership creates resilience quietly. At first, dividends don't feel powerful. They feel small, almost forgettable. And that's exactly why they work. Because the real payoff of dividends isn't the money itself. It's what happens around the money over time. When income arrives without effort, even in tiny amounts, it changes how your nervous system reacts to life. You don't need it to be large to feel it. You just need it to be reliable. Slowly, your brain starts to register something new. Not everything depends on me pushing. That realization alone creates space. Over years, dividends compound into directions at once. Financially, ownership grows. Emotionally, pressure shrinks. And those two effects reinforce each other. As dividends increase, they cover small things first, then slightly bigger things, eventually meaningful things. But even before that point, something important happens. You stop feeling like money is always running away from you. You stop feeling chased by time. That compounds just as much as the income does. People often explain compounding with charts and curves. That's not how it feels in real life. In real life, compounding feels like this. You go months without noticing much change. Then one day, you realize something is easier than it used to be. Not exciting, just lighter. Bills don't sting the same way. Unexpected costs don't knock the wind out of you. You haven't arrived, but you're not exposed either. Dividends create a background layer of support, like insulation. You still live your life. You still work, but fewer things feel like emergencies. And emergencies are what drain people. They want to breathe. They want to stop feeling one mistake away from stress. Dividends are rarely about luxury. They're about predictability. Predictability means choice. Choice means peace. You're less desperate, less reactive, less likely to make rushed decisions. That's not flashy, but it's powerful, because calm decisions age better than emotional ones. They describe them as support. Support for taking time off. Support for saying no. Support for riding out uncertainty. They don't obsess over every payment. They trust the system they built slowly. And trust is the real return. Here's a quiet truth most people never hear. Success with dividends isn't measured by how much you earn. It's measured by how little fear controls your decisions. When money stops being urgent, life feels wider. You don't need dramatic milestones to feel progress. You notice it in smaller ways. Sleeping better, thinking clearer, planning further ahead. That's what ownership buys you. Time, not thrill. So if dividends still sound boring, that's okay. Boring is often the sound of something working quietly in your favor. Dividends aren't magic. They're not shortcuts. They're not guarantees. They're simply a way to let money participate in your life. Instead of constantly chasing it, you don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin thinking differently about how income is allowed to reach you. Effort will always matter, but effort doesn't have to do everything. Ownership can carry part of the load, and over enough time, that shared weight changes how life feels. Not louder, not faster, just steadier. And for most people, that's the real goal.